Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Cilinix Crypto, or welcome to the channel if you're new, and welcome to this new video here about crypto markets. It's weekend. Volume has dropped down quite a fair bit, which was to be expected. I mean, to be fair, Bitcoin's volume is still at the same levels as it was this morning. But I do expect it to decrease more over the next 24 hours. So we'll talk briefly about what that means, and just in general, what the market circumstances are right now, because we talked about this I think on Friday, yesterday, but Thursday as well, that very often when you get a long weekend like this, so right now we have Good Friday and then of course turning into Easter tomorrow, what you see very often, and I'm not sure why I'm so red, but what you see very often is that it's a weekend filled with manipulation, right? And that's also what we see today. I wanted to briefly talk about that and some coins, and just in general some things you need to be careful for, and things you need to watch out for regarding those coins, but also regarding Bitcoin. So that's what we'll do. Now I'll probably be back with a new update or a bigger update about next week tomorrow, but ultimately there's a couple of things you need to be aware of for next week. Monday we have Easter Monday. I do think the markets are open again at that point of time. But then in terms of news, we have some news on Wednesday that could be important, but nothing major. We have some news on Thursday that could be important, but nothing major, and it could be important depending on what the actual result is. And then Friday we have we basically have no news. So in terms of news next week, it's relatively quiet. But obviously, like we're getting used to now a little bit already, is that headlines will make the markets move, right? So anything right now regarding the tariffs, regarding trade deals, will make the markets move a lot. I don't expect anything to come in today. I don't expect anything to come in tomorrow. But like I said, Monday, I do expect some activity to come back. But so that's next week. But if we're talking about this week and right now, what the market is doing right now, or the current state of the market, is that we do have a lot of volatility for Bitcoin earlier today, but also for altcoins. This is the 1 hour time frame, and since the Asian session today, Bitcoin has been very, very volatile, as you all know. But the volume is very low, and outside of that, we're creating some massive imbalances, right? So you can see, for example, a CME gap right here. CME closed at 84,400, so there's already a massive CME gap here. Am I mistaken? No, what is this? We actually closed I'm not certain, but there is a CME gap. And we left some imbalances here to the downside as well. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think the CME gap is somewhere right here, so it's to the downside. But we're leaving a lot of imbalances. We're making a lot of moves with high open interest, as you can see right here, and low volume, which is never a good sign either. So that's why you need to be careful with these moves, and that's not only for Bitcoin the case. We'll take a look at Solana and XRP in a moment. For XRP, it's not really a problem. For Solana, it is a little bit more. But there's two things you need to mainly be aware of. You need to be careful for, and that's first of all a potential fake out. So personally, look, Bitcoin is at that main resistance level right here between 85,500 and 86,000. If we get a strong move into that level, or potentially even above that level, there's a very high likelihood that that's a fake out. So that even though it looks very bullish, late longers will get punished, and we will drop back down into range, and we can drop all the way back down to 84,000. That is something you need to be aware of. But then second of all, and that makes this situation very, very difficult, is the fact that even though it's quite certain we're going to get a pullback, movement and price action like this can also take longer than you expect, right? So for example, I believe we actually got some shorters coming into the price right here, and what you can see right here is that the price is still relatively strong, and at least for now I expect that to continue, right? So even though I think we will pull back, and I think we'll fill those imbalances to the downside, short term I would actually say it's most likely we're still going to fill some imbalances to the upside from early last week, and just in general get into that resistance zone before pulling back, right? So those are the main things you need to be aware of, and you need to be careful for, not only for Bitcoin, but also for altcoins. Now, before we talk about XRP, Solana, and some altcoins, first a quick interruption with breakouts. Amazing tool and amazing website in general. I would definitely listen to this because it might be very valuable to some of you. All right, a quick interruption here to talk about Breakout. Breakout is the #1 crypto trading prop firm, which basically means they can give you money to trade and you can keep most of the profits. So very simply said, how it works is you have to go through an evaluation or a challenge to prove you're a good trader. All right, so you can go from an account size from $5,000 up to $10,000, and you have to go through the challenge you can see right here. Make 10% profit, max drawdown of 6%. But if you're through that, you can actually trade with that account size and make up to 90% of those gains, which you can easily withdraw. So if you actually want to start this evaluation, which I think is very interesting to a lot of you, here you can see the evaluation fees. I'll leave a link down in the description together with a discount code, which actually it gives you a discount to start this challenge and to give you a chance to trade with real size and to keep most of the profits. Alright, but now onto the video. So XRP, like I said, I don't have much to say about this. This has actually been very, very quiet over the course of today, even though the market was quite volatile. I expect this to remain relatively stable, although I do think that it's most likely that we're still going to grab some liquidity here to the downside before we can ultimately get a move into 2.3, 2.4. Solana, especially this morning, has been a lot more strong. Or has been a lot stronger, excuse me. My English is absolutely great this afternoon. And this, same thing as Bitcoin, all right? I don't fully trust this move, and I think we're going to get a relatively violent pullback at some point of time, soon. But short term, I do still think it's most likely we will also see a continuation from this into 144, 145, and then potentially 150. But that's not my first price target. And then outside of that, like I said, if you take a look at the volume, look, there's a lot of coins like Ergo, like Voxel, like Meme Land, that have a lot of volume. GMT as well, the Steppen token. They have a lot of volume, but you should know that these are mostly manipulated. All right, so what that means is that these funds or these market makers that are manipulating these coins, they'll make money on this. All right, so that means that retail overall will lose money. It's a zero-sum game. All right, so be careful with those. If you see something pumping a lot, then either buy with a very deep and strong pullback, or just stay away from it. All right, and maybe if you see it early, you could still be in time, but that's overall it's very risky to trade those. Personally, I'm more interested in trying to do our best to time some sort of a short on coins that have rallied a lot under low volume, right? So then we're talking about Tau, for example, BitTensor, Fetch, for example, as well. Like right now, it's still rallying, but at some point of time, catching a short on these, I think is the best opportunity. Same thing with Solana. Even though I think short term this is still going up higher, at some point of time I'd like to short this. Same thing with Jasmine here, which also liquidated all the shorts. It's pulling back right now. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the markets. I think that's what you need to know. If you do have any questions, of course, let me know down in the comments. But for now, thank you for watching. Take care. Have a great weekend. Happy Easter in advance. And bye.